The alarm bells rang through the mining station like angry birds screaming in the morning. Kang Dae-hyun rolled out of his narrow bed and grabbed his work suit. Another day in the asteroid belt meant another day of digging rocks and hoping nothing went wrong. Dae-hyun was 34 years old and had been working on Kepler 7 mining station for 6 years. He was tall for a Korean man, with strong hands from years of hard work. His black hair was getting some gray spots and his face showed the tired lines of someone who worked too much. But his eyes were kind, and that kindness had gotten him into trouble before. The mining station floated in the empty space between asteroids. It was not a pretty place. Gray metal walls, bright white lights, and the constant sound of machines working. 200 people lived here, far from Earth, far from family. They came here to make money digging valuable metals from space rocks. Dae-hyun walked to the control room where his boss Lee Sun-hee was waiting. She was a short woman with sharp eyes who ran the station like a military base. She did not smile much, but she was fair to her workers. "Dae-hyun, we have a problem," Sun-hee said, pointing at the big screen on the wall. "Our sensors picked up something strange in Sector 7. It looks like a ship, but it is not moving." Dae-hyun looked at the screen. A small dot blinked red against the black of space. "Could be space junk," he said. "Lots of broken ships out here." "Maybe, but the energy readings are strange. I want you to take a survey pod and check it out. If it is valuable, we salvage it. If it is dangerous, we destroy it." Dae-hyun nodded. This was normal work for him. He was good with the small survey ships that went out to check new asteroids and floating objects. He had steady hands and good eyes for spotting valuable things in space. 20 minutes later, Dae-hyun was flying his small survey pod toward the mysterious object. The pod was cramped, with just enough room for one person and some basic tools. Through the front window, he could see the stars and the distant sun that looked like a bright dot. As he got closer, Dae-hyun saw that the object was definitely a ship, but it was like no ship he had ever seen before. It was smooth and curved, made of what looked like silver metal that reflected the starlight. It was beautiful in a strange way, not like the square, practical ships that humans built. "This is not human," Dae-hyun said into his radio. "Sun-hee, are you seeing this?" "Copy that, Dae-hyun. The design is unknown. Proceed with caution. Check for life signs." Dae-hyun flew his pod around the strange ship. It was about the size of a small transport shuttle, but damaged. He could see holes in the hull and scorch marks that looked like weapon burns. Someone had attacked this ship. His scanner beeped. "Sun-hee, I am reading 4 life signs inside. Weak but alive." There was silence on the radio for a long moment. Then Sun-hee's voice came back, tight with worry. "Dae-hyun, you know the rules. We cannot bring unknown aliens onto the station without proper authorization. It could take months to get approval from Earth." Dae-hyun stared at the damaged ship floating in the darkness. 4 life signs. 4 beings who were dying slowly in the cold of space while he sat here talking about rules and paperwork. "Sun-hee, they will be dead long before any authorization comes through. That is not our problem, Dae-hyun. We have our orders and our safety to think about." Dae-hyun closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his own childhood, growing up in an orphanage in Seoul after his parents died in a factory accident. He remembered the cold nights when no one came to check on the children, when the adults were too busy with their own problems to care about scared kids. "I am going to dock with their ship," he said into the radio. "Dae-hyun, I am ordering you not to." He turned off the radio. It took 30 minutes to carefully connect his survey pod to the alien ship. The hull was made of metal he did not recognize, but his cutting tools worked on it. When he made a hole big enough to crawl through, stale air rushed out. The air was thin but breathable. Inside the ship, everything was curved and smooth. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that hurt his eyes at first. Strange symbols covered control panels that looked more like art than machinery, but it was clearly a ship, with seats and controls and storage areas. He found them in what looked like a sleeping area. A female alien and 3 smaller ones, obviously children. They were unconscious, breathing slowly. Their skin was pale blue-silver, and they had large eyes that were closed now. Their bodies were similar to humans but more slender, with long fingers and graceful limbs. The female was badly hurt. Blood the color of dark purple leaked from cuts on her arms and head. The children looked healthier, but weak from hunger and cold. Dae-hyun had brought emergency medical supplies and food packets from his pod. He gave the injured female a stimulant injection and watched as her large eyes slowly opened. When she saw him, she tried to sit up quickly, making a sound that was clearly fear. "Easy." Daehyun said softly, holding up his hands to show he meant no harm. I am here to help. The female alien looked at him with eyes that were the color of deep ocean water. She said something in a language he did not understand, then tried again in broken galactic standard, the common trade language most spacers knew. Please, do not hurt the young ones. I will not hurt anyone, Daehyun said. My name is Daehyun. I want to help you. The female looked at the three children, still unconscious, then back at Daehyun. Tears ran down her silver cheeks as she spoke. I am Narika. These are my children. Pirates attacked our ship. My mate is dead. He saved us, put us in escape pod, but we have been drifting for days. No food, no power, no hope. Daehyun felt something tight in his chest. This female, Narika, had lost her family and was trying to protect her children, just like any human mother would do. You are safe now, he said. I will take you to my station. We will help you. Narika grabbed his arm with surprising strength. Humans! I have heard stories. Your people are violent, dangerous. Will you sell us to slavers? Will you hurt my children? Daehyun looked into her frightened eyes and made a choice that would change everything. No, he said simply. I will protect you and your children. I promise. As he carried the unconscious children to his survey pod one by one, then helped the injured Narika, Daehyun knew he was breaking every regulation in the book. But sometimes being human meant more than following rules. Sometimes it meant doing what was right even when it was dangerous. The trip back to Kepler 7 station took 2 hours. Narika held her children close, whispering to them in her own language. Daehyun pretended not to notice when she watched him with suspicious, frightened eyes. When they docked at the station, Lee Sun-hee was waiting with a medical team and security guards. Her face was angry, but when she saw the injured alien family, some of the anger faded. Daehyun, do you have any idea what you have done? She asked quietly. I saved a family, he replied, helping Narika walk toward the medical bay. You may have saved them, but you might have doomed us all. Harboring unregistered aliens is a serious crime. They could shut down this entire operation. Daehyun looked back at Narika, who was carrying her youngest child, while the older ones walked beside her on shaky legs. They looked so small and lost in the bright corridors of the human station. Then we better figure out how to make this work, he said. 3 days had passed since Daehyun brought the alien family to Kepler 7 station. Narika and her children were staying in the medical bay, but the doctor said they were healthy enough to move to regular quarters. The problem was where to put them. Lee Sun-hee stood in her office with Daehyun, looking tired. Dark circles under her eyes showed she had not been sleeping well since the aliens arrived. The company lawyers say we can keep them for 72 hours maximum, Sun-hee said. After that, we have to report them to galactic immigration or face serious legal problems. That gives you less than 24 hours to figure this out. Daehyun had been thinking about this problem for 3 days. He had even called some contacts on other stations, but no one wanted to take 4 unregistered aliens. It was too risky. They can stay with me, he said finally. Sun-hee looked at him like he was crazy. Daehyun, your quarters are barely big enough for 1 person. Where would you put 4 aliens? I will make it work. They need somewhere safe while we sort out the paperwork. I cannot let them go back to drifting in space. And what about food? Water? Medical care? These things cost money and the company will not pay for illegal aliens. I will pay, Daehyun said. I have savings. Sun-hee was quiet for a long time, staring out the window at the stars. Finally, she sighed. You are going to get us all in trouble. But I will give you 1 week. 1 week to figure out a permanent solution. After that, I have to make the official report. An hour later, Daehyun was helping Narika and her children move from the medical bay to his small quarters. The children were curious about everything they saw. The oldest boy, who looked about 8 years old, kept stopping to stare at the human technology. The middle child, a boy of about 6, stayed close to his mother but watched Daehyun carefully. The youngest, a little girl of maybe 4, held her mother's hand tightly. Daehyun's quarters were just 2 small rooms, a main area with a bed, a desk, and a small kitchen unit, plus a tiny bathroom. It was not much space for 5 people. You take the bed, Daehyun told Narika in simple galactic standard. I will sleep on the floor. Narika looked uncomfortable. This is your home. We cannot take your bed. You are injured and tired. The children need comfort. Please take the bed. That first night was difficult. The children had nightmares and cried out in their sleep. Narika stayed awake, holding them and whispering soft words in their own language. Daehyun lay on the hard floor, listening to the family's pain and wishing he could do more to help. The next morning, Daehyun tried to make breakfast for everyone. Human food packets were all he had, and he was not sure if aliens could eat them safely. But when he offered some protein bars and fruit juice to the children, they ate hungrily. The little girl, So-young-ka, smiled at him for the first time. Her smile was beautiful, showing small white teeth. She said something in her own language that sounded like "thank you." "What is your name?" Daehyun asked her in Galactic Standard. "So-young-ka," she said proudly. "I am 4 cycles old." The middle boy was called Minho-ka and the oldest was Jiwon-ka. They were polite but scared, staying close to their mother whenever Daehyun moved around the small room. Narika watched everything Daehyun did with suspicious eyes. She had heard many stories about humans during her travels through space. Stories about human violence, human greed, humans who captured and sold other species as slaves. She could not understand why this human was being kind to them. On the second day, little So-young-ka became very sick. She had a high fever and was throwing up everything she tried to eat. Her skin turned from silver blue to a pale gray color, and she could barely keep her eyes open. Narika was terrified. She held her daughter and cried, speaking rapidly in her own language. She kept looking at Daehyun as if asking him to help, but also as if she blamed him for making So-young-ka sick. Daehyun ran to the medical bay. The human doctor, Park Won-ho, was a good man, but he followed rules strictly. "I cannot treat an alien child without proper authorization," Dr. Park said. "We do not know how alien biology works." "I could make her worse." "She is dying," Daehyun said. "Please just look at her. If something goes wrong, I could lose my medical license. I could go to prison." Daehyun thought about So-young-ka's small face, so pale and hot with fever. He thought about Narika's frightened eyes. "Then teach me what to do," he said. Dr. Park stared at him. "What?" "Give me the medicine and teach me how to use it. If something goes wrong, blame me, not you." For the next 6 hours, Dr. Park quietly helped Daehyun learn how to treat the sick child. They discovered that human medicine worked on Valoran biology, but the doses had to be much smaller. So-young-ka needed antibiotics and fluids, the same things a human child would need. Daehyun stayed awake all night, giving So-young-ka medicine every 2 hours and making sure she drank enough water. Narika watched him the whole time, seeing how gentle he was with her daughter, how careful he was to make sure the medicine did not hurt her. By morning, So-young-ka's fever was gone. She opened her big ocean blue eyes and smiled at Daehyun. "Appa," she said softly. Narika made a sharp sound. "So-young-ka, no. He is not your father." But So-young-ka just smiled and reached for Daehyun's hand. That afternoon, Jiwon-ka had a nightmare while taking a nap. He woke up screaming about pirates and explosions and his father dying. Narika tried to calm him, but the boy was shaking and crying uncontrollably. Daehyun sat down next to the bed. "Jiwon-ka, you are safe now. The pirates cannot hurt you here." "They killed my father," Jiwon-ka said in broken Galactic Standard. "He was brave, but they killed him." "Your father was a hero," Daehyun said. "He saved you and your mother and your brother and sister. That is what fathers do. They protect their families. Will the pirates come here?" "No, this station has strong defenses, and I will not let anyone hurt you." Jiwon-ka looked at Daehyun with serious eyes. "Promise?" "I promise." That night, Jiwon-ka slept peacefully for the first time since the attack. Minho-ka was different from his siblings. He did not talk much, but he was very curious. He followed Daehyun around the quarters, watching everything he did. When Daehyun fixed a broken light panel, Minho-ka handed him tools without being asked. When Daehyun made food, Minho-ka helped by setting out cups and plates. One day, Minho-ka pointed at Daehyun's computer and said something in Valoran. Narika translated. "He wants to know how your thinking machine works." Daehyun showed Minho-ka how to use the computer. The boy learned very quickly, faster than most human children. Soon he was playing simple games and looking at pictures of Earth. "Valorans are naturally good with technology," Narika explained. "Our children learn these things easily." As the days passed, Narika began to see that Daehyun was not like the humans in the scary stories. He was patient with her children. He shared his food even when it meant he went hungry. He gave up his bed and his comfort for strangers. One evening, while the children were sleeping, Narika sat with Daehyun in the main room. "Why are you helping us?" she asked quietly. Daehyun thought for a moment. When I was young, my parents died in an accident. I lived in a place for children with no families. It was cold there and lonely. The adults were too busy to care about us. I always wished someone would have been kind to me. Narika looked at him with new understanding. So you know what it feels like to be alone and scared? Yes. I do not want your children to feel that way. But we are not human. We are strangers from another world. You are a mother protecting her children. That is not strange to me. That is the most natural thing in any world. Narika was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "My children are starting to trust you. Soyunka calls you father. Jawanka asks for you when he wakes from nightmares. Minhoka follows you everywhere. Is that bad? I do not know. In our culture, children are very important. We do not let strangers become close to them easily. I understand. I will be careful not to confuse them." "No," Narika said, surprising him. I think maybe it is good for them to have someone strong and kind to trust. They have been through so much pain." She paused, then added quietly, "And maybe it is good for me too." That night, for the first time since the pirate attack, Narika slept peacefully. She was beginning to believe that maybe, in this cold metal station far from her homeworld, her family might actually be safe. 3 months had passed since the rescue, and life on Kepler 7 station had settled into a strange but comfortable routine. Daehyun's small quarters had been transformed into something that looked almost like a real home. The children's drawings covered the walls, showing pictures of their new life with stick figures of humans and Velerans playing together. Narika had learned to cook human food, adding Veleran spices that she grew in small pots by the window. The smell of her cooking filled the quarters with warmth and made even the gray metal walls feel cozy. Daehyun had never eaten such delicious meals in his life. The children were growing stronger every day. Jiwon-ka, now confident in basic Korean and galactic standard, helped translate for his younger siblings when they played with human children in the station's recreation area. His nightmares came less often, and when they did, he no longer screamed in fear. Instead, he would quietly walk to where Daehyun slept and shake his shoulder. "Appa Daehyun," he would whisper, using the Korean word for father. "Can I sit with you?" Daehyun would always make room, and they would sit together until the boy felt safe enough to sleep again. Minhoka had become fascinated with the station's computer systems. He spent hours with Daehyun learning about human technology, asking endless questions about how things worked. His natural Veleran ability with machines made him better at fixing things than some of the adult engineers on the station. Little Soyunka had completely accepted Daehyun as her father. She held his hand when they walked through the station corridors, sat on his lap during meals, and insisted on braiding his black hair with small blue ribbons that matched her skin color. "Appa Daehyun pretty," she would say in her mixture of Korean, Galactic Standard, and Veleran, making everyone laugh. But their happiness was about to be tested. On a cold Tuesday morning, the station's communication system announced an incoming ship. Lee Sun-hee called all department heads to the docking bay, including Daehyun. He kissed Narika goodbye and promised to be back for lunch, not knowing that this kiss might be their last. The ship that docked was sleek and white, with the official symbol of Galactic Immigration Services painted on its hull. Out stepped Park Min-jung, a tall Korean woman in a crisp uniform who looked like she had never smiled in her entire life. "I am Officer Park Min-jung," she announced to the assembled crowd. "I am here for a surprise inspection of this facility. I have reports that illegal aliens are being harbored here without proper documentation." Lee Sun-hee's face went pale, but she kept her voice steady. "Officer Park, all our workers are properly registered. I can show you the records. That will not be necessary. I will conduct my own investigation." Officer Park spent the morning interviewing station personnel and reviewing computer records. By lunchtime, she had a complete picture of what had happened 3 months ago. She requested a meeting with Daehyun in the conference room. "Mr. Kang Daehyun," she said formally, "you are accused of harboring 4 unregistered aliens in violation of galactic immigration law. This is a serious crime that can result in imprisonment and loss of citizenship. Do you understand these charges?" Daehyun looked at the officer's stern face and made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. "Yes, I understand. And yes, I did it. The family is living with me in my quarters. Would you like to meet them?" Officer Park blinked. She had expected denials, excuses, maybe even attempts to bribe her. She had not expected complete honesty. "Mr. Kang, do you realize that you have just confessed to a serious crime? I saved a family from dying in space. If that is a crime, then I am guilty. Why did you not report them to the proper authorities?" "Because the proper authorities would have let them die while filling out paperwork." Officer Park studied Daehyun's face for a long moment. She had been doing immigration work for 15 years and she had seen all kinds of people: smugglers who moved aliens for profit, families trying to hide relatives who had overstayed visas, companies using illegal workers to save money. But she had never met someone like Daehyun, who seemed to have no motive except kindness. "I want to meet this family," she said finally. An hour later, Officer Park sat in Daehyun's crowded quarters, drinking tea that Narika had prepared and watching the children play on the floor. So-young-ka was showing Min-ho-ka how to fold paper into flower shapes, while Ji-won-ka read from a Korean language book that Daehyun had given him. "Tell me what happened," Officer Park said to Narika in perfect galactic standard. Narika told her story simply and honestly: the pirate attack, her mate's death, drifting in space with no hope, Daehyun's rescue, the months of kindness that followed. "And how has Mr. Kang treated you and your children?" Narika looked at Daehyun, who was helping So-young-ka with her paper flowers. "He has been more than kind. He gave us his home, his food, his protection. When So-young-ka was sick, he risked his career to get medicine for her. When Ji-won-ka had nightmares, he sat with him all night. He teaches them about human culture, but he also learns about ours. He respects our traditions. And the children? How do they feel about him?" Before Narika could answer, So-young-ka ran over to Officer Park and pointed at Daehyun. "That my appa," she said proudly in Korean. "He best appa in whole station." Ji-won-ka looked up from his book. "Daehyun appa saved our lives. He protects us from bad people. He teaches us good things." Even quiet Min-ho-ka nodded seriously. "He fixes things when they break. Like he fixed us when we were broken." Officer Park felt something tight in her chest as she listened to the children. She had 3 children of her own back on Earth, and she knew real love when she saw it. These alien children clearly adored their human guardian, and he obviously cared for them as if they were his own. "Mr. Kang," she said finally, "what you did was illegal, but it was also right. I have been working in immigration for many years, and I have seen too many cases where following the rules meant letting good people suffer." She paused, then pulled out her official tablet. "I'm going to process emergency asylum papers for this family. It will take some time to make everything official, but they can stay here legally while we work through the process." Daehyun felt relief wash over him like warm water. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Do not thank me yet. The paperwork will be complicated, and there will be questions from my supervisors, but I think this family has found where they belong." That evening, after Officer Park had left, the family celebrated with a special dinner. Narika had made Daehyun's favorite Korean dish, mixed with Valoran spices that made it taste like nothing he had ever experienced. As they ate, Narika reached across the table and took Daehyun's hand. "You have given us everything," she said softly. "A home, safety, hope. But what have we given you?" Daehyun looked around the table at the 4 faces that had become so important to him. Ji-won-ka practicing his Korean letters, Min-ho-ka carefully arranging his food in perfect patterns, So-young-ka humming a Valoran lullaby while she ate. "You have given me a family," he said simply. That night, as the children slept peacefully in their makeshift beds and Narika dozed beside them, Daehyun lay on his floor mat and smiled. 3 months ago, his life had been simple and lonely. Now it was complicated and messy and full of noise and laughter and love. He would not trade it for anything in the galaxy. But even as he drifted off to sleep, Daehyun did not know that their happiness was about to face its biggest test yet. Some of the human workers on the station were not pleased about aliens living among them, and they were planning to make their feelings known. Outside in the corridor, Choi Sung-min stood with 3 other miners, whispering angry words about jobs being stolen and resources being wasted on aliens. They had been watching the family for weeks, waiting for the right moment to act. That moment was coming soon. 6 months had passed since Officer Park approved the asylum papers, and life seemed perfect for Daehyun's unusual family. But trouble was growing like a dark cloud over their happiness. The mining station had been losing money for weeks. Asteroid ore prices had dropped, and several profitable mining sites had been exhausted. Lee Sun-hee was forced to cut worker hours and reduce food rations. People were angry and scared about their jobs. Choi Sung-min saw this as his chance. He was a big man with small, mean eyes who had worked the mines for 10 years. He had never liked foreigners, and he definitely did not like aliens living on his station. "Look around you," Sung-min told a group of miners in the recreation room. "We are losing money, cutting jobs, eating smaller meals. But we are still feeding and housing 4 aliens who do not pay their way. Why should they live here for free while we suffer?" Some workers nodded in agreement. Others looked uncomfortable but said nothing. "And that alien female, she is always hanging around the computer systems, learning our technology. What if she is a spy? What if she is planning to sell our secrets to competitors?" Fear spread through the group like poison. In hard times, people always looked for someone to blame. The harassment started small. Someone wrote mean words on the door to Daehyun's quarters. Food packages disappeared from the family's storage unit. When the children played in the recreation area, some human children threw toys at them and called them names. So Young-ka came home crying one day because a girl had pulled her hair and told her to go back to her own planet. Minho-ka stopped exploring the station because workers would stare at him with unfriendly faces. Even brave Jiwon-ka became quiet and stayed close to home. Narika was hurt by the treatment, but she was more worried about her children. "Maybe we should leave," she told Daehyun one evening after the children were asleep. "Find another station, another place where we are not causing problems." "This is your home now," Daehyun said firmly. "These people are scared about their jobs, so they are blaming you. But you belong here just as much as they do. Do we? Sometimes I wonder if we made a mistake staying here." Daehyun took her hands in his. Over the months, their friendship had grown into something deeper. He loved her gentle strength, her intelligence, the way she sang Velaran lullabies to her children. And he could see in her ocean blue eyes that she felt the same way about him. "You did not make a mistake," he said. "This is where you belong. With me, with your children, building a life together." But their troubles were just beginning. The next week, the station's main mining drill broke down completely. It was the machine that extracted valuable metals from the asteroids, the heart of the whole operation. Without it, the station would have to close. Lee Sun-hee called an emergency meeting of all the engineering staff. The drill's quantum resonance system had failed and no one knew how to fix it. The replacement parts would take months to arrive from Earth, and the station could not afford to wait that long. "We need a miracle," Sun-hee said, staring at the broken machine. "Someone who understands quantum resonance technology." Daehyun looked at the complex machine, then at Narika, who had been quietly studying the problem from the back of the room. "Narika might be able to help," he said. Everyone turned to look at the alien woman. Choi Sung-min made an angry sound. "You want to trust our most important machine to an alien?" he demanded. "She could sabotage it, destroy the whole station." "She knows more about quantum resonance than any of us," Daehyun replied. "Velaran technology is based on it." Sun-hee was desperate. "Can you really fix this?" she asked Narika. "I can try," Narika said quietly, "but I will need help, and I will need people to trust me." For the next 18 hours, Narika worked alongside Daehyun and the engineering team. Her long, graceful fingers moved over the controls with amazing skill. She could see patterns in the quantum fields that human eyes could not detect. She understood the machine's problems in ways that human engineers never could. Choi Sung-min and his friends watched from a distance, grumbling and complaining. "She is probably making it worse," Sung-min muttered. "When this fails, we will know who to blame." But Narika did not fail. Working through the night, she identified the problem and began the careful process of rebuilding the quantum resonance chamber. Daehyun stayed by her side, handing her tools and learning from her vast knowledge. Just before dawn, the machine came back to life. The quantum drill hummed with perfect energy, ready to dig valuable metals from the asteroids again. The station was saved. The workers cheered and clapped. Some even apologized to Narika for doubting her. But Sung-min was not happy. He had hoped she would fail so he could prove that aliens were dangerous. "One lucky fix does not make her trustworthy," he told his friends. "We still need to watch her carefully." Despite the success, the harassment continued. Someone broke into Daehyun's quarters and destroyed the children's drawings. Food packages were stolen regularly. Threatening messages appeared on their door. The children became more and more frightened. They stopped playing with human children. They stayed in their quarters except when absolutely necessary. The joy and laughter that had filled their home began to fade. One morning, Jiwon-ka came home with a black eye and torn clothes. He had been playing in the recreation area when 3 older human boys surrounded him. "Go home, alien," they had said. "You do not belong here." "This is my home," Jiwon-ka had replied in perfect Korean. "My family lives here. Your family are freaks. You are not human, so this cannot be your home." When Jiwon-ka stood up to them, they pushed him down and hit him. But something amazing happened next. Instead of crying or running away, Jiwon-ka got back up and faced them again. "You are wrong," he said. Blood running from his nose, but his voice strong. "Home is not about what planet you come from. Home is about people who love you and take care of you. Daehyun Appa loves us and we love him. That makes this our home." The bullies were surprised by his courage. They hit him once more and ran away, but Jiwon-ka's words stayed with them. That evening, Daehyun held ice against his adopted son's swollen eye and felt proud and angry at the same time. Proud because the boy had shown such courage. Angry because anyone would hurt a child. "You did the right thing," he told Jiwon-ka. "Standing up for your family, for what is right. That takes real strength." "I learned it from you, Appa," Jiwon-ka said. "You always stand up for us even when it is difficult." Narika watched this exchange with tears in her eyes. She could see how much Daehyun loved her children, and how much they loved him back. They were becoming a real family, bound not by blood but by choice and care. But she was also worried. The hatred on the station was getting worse, not better. Even though she had saved everyone's jobs by fixing the drill, some people still saw her family as outsiders who did not belong. Late that night, as the children slept, Narika and Daehyun talked quietly about their fears. "I am scared for the children," she whispered. "What if the harassment gets worse? What if someone really hurts them?" "I will not let anyone hurt our family," Daehyun said, and Narika's heart jumped when he said our family. "We will find a way to make this work." "How?" "Some of these people will never accept us. Then we need to show them who we really are. Not aliens, not strangers, but people with hopes and dreams and love just like them." Narika looked into his kind eyes and felt something she had not felt since her first mate died. She felt completely deeply loved. Not just her, but her children too. Daehyun had given them more than a home. He had given them a future. "I love you," she said quietly. The first time either of them had spoken the words aloud. "I love you too," he replied. "All of you. You are my family now, and I will protect my family no matter what." They held each other close, finding strength in their love. Outside their door, the station continued its work of mining asteroids and following its routine. But inside their small quarters, something beautiful was growing despite the hatred around them. They did not know that tomorrow would bring their greatest challenge yet. A crisis that would test not just their love for each other, but the very survival of everyone on the station. And in that crisis, the people who had rejected them would discover just how valuable their alien family really was. 1 year had passed since Daehyun first found the alien family drifting in space. Life on Kepler 7 had found a new balance. After Narika saved the station by fixing the quantum drill, most workers had come to accept the alien family. Even some of Choi Sung-min's friends had started treating them with respect. The children had grown and changed in amazing ways. Jiwon-ka, now 9 years old, was fluent in Korean, Galactic Standard, and his native Velaran. He helped in the engineering sections after school, showing a natural talent for fixing complex machines. His confidence had grown strong after standing up to the bullies. Minho-ka had become the station's unofficial computer expert. At 7 years old, he could solve technical problems that stumped adult engineers. The other children, both human and alien, looked up to him as the smartest kid on the station. 5-year-old Soyoung-ka was everyone's favorite. She had learned to speak perfect Korean and often served as a translator between the adults. Her bright smile and cheerful laugh could make even the grumpiest miners happy. Narika had become an important member of the engineering team. Her knowledge of quantum technology had saved the station several more times, and Lee Sun-hee relied on her expertise for difficult problems. She was no longer just an alien refugee. She was a valued member of the community, but the biggest change was in Daehyun himself. The lonely man who had lived in a small empty room had become a father, partner, and leader. His quarters were full of life, laughter, and love. He woke each morning excited to see his family's faces and went to sleep each night grateful for the miracle that had brought them together. On a Tuesday morning in spring, their peaceful routine was interrupted by an announcement over the station's communication system. All senior staff report to the main docking bay immediately. We have an important visitor arriving. Dae-hyun kissed Narika goodbye and hurried to the docking bay, where a sleek government ship was just finishing its docking procedure. Out stepped Officer Park Min-jung, the immigration officer who had helped them a year ago. But this time she was not alone. With her came a tall man in an expensive suit who carried himself like someone very important. Station Commander Lee, Officer Park said formally. I would like you to meet Deputy Director Kim Jun-chun of the Galactic Council's Integration Committee. Lee Sun-hee looked nervous. Visits from Galactic Council officials usually meant trouble. Director Kim, she said carefully. What can we do? For you? The important man smiled, which made everyone even more nervous. Actually, we are here to do something for you. Specifically, we want to talk to the Valoran family that has been living here, and the human who rescued them. An hour later, Dae-hyun and Narika sat in the conference room with their children, facing the two government officials. The children were on their best behavior, but So-young-ka could not stop staring at Director Kim's shiny buttons. Mr. Kang Dae-hyun, Director Kim began, your rescue of this family has become famous throughout the galaxy. Officer Park's report about your situation has been read by the highest levels of government. I just did what anyone would do, Dae-hyun said quietly. Actually, you did what very few people would do. You risked your career, your home, and your safety to save strangers from another species. That kind of courage and compassion is exactly what the galaxy needs more of. Director Kim turned to Narika. And Ms. Narika, your contributions to this station have been remarkable. You have proven that cooperation between humans and Valorans can benefit both species. I only did my duty to repay the kindness shown to my family, Narika replied. You did much more than that, which is why we are here today with a very special offer. Director Kim activated a holographic projector that showed images of a beautiful planet with blue oceans, green continents, and 2 golden suns. This is Sarang 7, a newly discovered world that is perfect for colonization. The Galactic Council wants to establish the first integrated colony there, where humans and Valorans will work together as equals. We want you to lead this project. The room was completely quiet. Even So-young-ka stopped fidgeting and stared at the beautiful planet spinning slowly in the hologram. You want us to run a whole planet? Dae-hyun asked, hardly believing what he was hearing. Not just run it. Build it from the ground up. Create a society where different species live and work together in harmony. Your family has already proven this is possible. Now we want you to show the entire galaxy. Narika looked worried. This sounds very dangerous. What if we fail? What if humans and Valorans cannot work together on such a large scale? Director Kim nodded seriously. There are risks. Some people from both species will resist the idea. There will be challenges we cannot even imagine yet. But if you succeed, you will change the future of the galaxy forever. What about the children? Dae-hyun asked. This is their home now. They have friends here, a life they understand. Ji-won-ka spoke up in his clear, confident voice. Appa, remember what you taught me. Home is not a place. Home is people who love you. If we all go together, we will still have our home. Min-ho-ka nodded eagerly. And think of all the new technology we could learn. A whole planet to explore. So-young-ka clapped her hands. Can we really live on a planet with 2 suns? That sounds like a fairy tale. Officer Park smiled at the children's enthusiasm. There is more. The colony will need many workers, both human and Valoran. Families who want to start new lives. People looking for opportunities to build something better. You would not be alone. That evening, the family gathered in their small quarters to discuss the incredible offer. The children were excited about the adventure, but Dae-hyun and Narika felt the weight of such a huge responsibility. Are we crazy to even consider this? Narika asked as they lay in bed, the children finally asleep. Probably, Dae-hyun admitted. But think about what we could accomplish. A place where species differences do not matter. Where children like ours grow up thinking cooperation is normal. And if we fail? If the colony falls apart? If people get hurt because of our mistakes? Daehyun was quiet for a long time. Then we will have tried to build something beautiful. That is more than most people ever do. The next morning, they gave their answer to Director Kim. They would accept the position, but with conditions. They wanted to choose their own team. They wanted guarantees that families would not be separated, and they wanted the right to make their own decisions about how the colony would be run. Agreed, Director Kim said immediately. When can you leave? Give us 2 weeks to say goodbye and pack our things. Word spread quickly through the station. Some people were sad to see the family go. Others, like Choi Sung-min, were glad to see the aliens leave. But most people felt proud that their station had produced the leaders of humanity's first integrated colony. Lee Sun-hee organized a farewell celebration in the main recreation hall. The whole station attended, even the people who had never liked the alien family. There were speeches and gifts and lots of good food. Dr. Park Won-ho gave Narika a medical kit designed for both human and Valoran biology. Take care of your family, he said, and take care of all the new families you will be helping. Some of the human children had made drawings for Jiwon-ka, Minho-ka, and Soyoung-ka. Pictures of spaceships and planets and stick figures holding hands. Do not forget us, they said. Even Choi Sung-min approached the family during the party. He looked uncomfortable but determined. I want to apologize, he said to Narika. I was wrong about you and your family. You belong here just as much as any of us. Maybe more, because you chose to stay and help when you could have left. Narika graciously accepted his apology. Fear makes people do things they would not normally do. I understand. Will you really be able to make it work? Humans and aliens, living together. We have made it work here, she replied, looking at her mixed family gathered around her. If we can do it in this small place, maybe we can do it on a big scale too. The night before they left, Daehyun walked through the station corridors one last time. These metal halls had been his home for 6 years. But now they felt empty compared to the warmth of his family. He found Jiwon-ka in the observation deck looking out at the stars. Are you scared, Appa? The boy asked. Yes, Daehyun admitted. Are you? A little, but also excited. We are going to build something that has never existed before. What if we make mistakes? Jiwon-ka looked up at him with eyes that held wisdom beyond his 9 years. Then we will learn from them and do better. That is what families do. The next morning, their ship departed from Kepler 7 station. Through the viewports, they could see the mining facility growing smaller and smaller, until it was just another dot of light among the stars. But they were not traveling alone. Officer Park had kept her promise about bringing other families. The ship carried 50 humans and 30 Velorans, all willing to risk everything to build a better future. As they flew toward their new home, Soyoung-ka fell asleep in Daehyun's lap, while Narika held Minho-ka and Jiwon-ka looked out the window at the approaching planet. Are you ready for this? Narika asked quietly. Daehyun looked at his family, these people who had changed his life so completely, and felt a familiar warmth in his chest. The same feeling he had experienced when he first decided to rescue them from the darkness of space. With you and the children, I am ready for anything. 2 years had passed since the family arrived on Serang 7, and the planet had been transformed from an empty world into humanity's first successful integrated colony. The settlement spread across a beautiful valley between 2 mountain ranges, where rivers flowed clean and pure under the light of twin golden suns. The colony now housed 5,000 residents, both human and Veloran, living and working together in harmony. The buildings were a blend of human practicality and Veloran elegance, creating architecture that was both beautiful and functional. Gardens grew earth vegetables alongside Valoran crystal flowers, creating colors that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. Daehyun stood in his office at the top of the colony's central tower, looking out over the thriving community below. At 36, he had grown into his role as colony director. The loneliness that had marked his earlier life was completely gone, replaced by the confidence that came from building something meaningful. Through the window, he could see children playing in the central park. Human children with black and brown and blonde hair running alongside young Valorans with silver-blue skin that sparkled in the sunlight. They played games that mixed traditions from both cultures, speaking in languages that borrowed words from Korean, English, Galactic Standard, and Valoran. Among them were his own children, now fully grown into their roles as bridge builders between the two species. Jiwon-ka, 11 years old and tall for his age, was teaching a group of younger children how to build a solar collection device using both human engineering and Valoran quantum techniques. His patient teaching style reminded Daehyun of Narika, but his steady confidence was pure human determination. Minho-ka, now 9, was sitting under a tree with his drawing tablet, creating digital art that combined human geometric patterns with flowing Valoran organic shapes. His work had become famous throughout the colony, and visiting dignitaries always requested copies of his artwork to take home. 10-year-old Soyoung-ka was leading a group of children in a singing game that mixed Korean folk songs with Valoran harmonies. Her voice was clear and sweet, and her ability to make friends with everyone had made her the unofficial ambassador for all the colony's children. A gentle knock on his office door interrupted Daehyun's thoughts. Narika entered carrying 2 cups of tea and wearing the flowing robes that marked her position as the colony's chief technology officer. Marriage to Daehyun had not changed her independence or her brilliant mind. If anything, it had given her the confidence to fully use her abilities. "The morning briefings are finished," she said, setting 1 cup on his desk. "The new families from Earth arrived safely, and the Valoran delegation will be here this afternoon." Daehyun sipped his tea and smiled at his wife. 2 years of marriage had only deepened their love for each other. They had learned to blend their different cultural backgrounds into something unique and beautiful, just like their colony. "How do the Earth families look? Are they ready for integrated living?" "Nervous but excited. Officer Park did a good job screening them. They all have open minds and useful skills." Park Min-jung had become the galaxy's expert on interspecies integration, traveling between worlds to help other colonies learn from Sarang 7's success. She visited every few months, bringing new families and taking reports back to the Galactic Council. "And the Valoran delegation? Are they still unhappy about our mixed marriage customs?" Narika laughed, a sound like silver bells ringing. "Elder Koran is always unhappy about something. But even he has to admit that our children are healthy, intelligent, and well-adjusted. The other elders are more interested in our success than our methods." The afternoon delegation meeting went better than expected. The Valoran elders, dressed in traditional robes that shifted color in the sunlight, listened carefully as Daehyun and Narika explained how the colony operated. "When we first heard about this experiment," said Elder Koran, a stern-faced Valoran with silver hair, "many of us believed it would fail within months. Humans and Valorans are too different to live together successfully." "What changed your mind?" Daehyun asked respectfully. "Your children," Elder Koran replied simply. "Jiwon-ka, Minho-ka, and Soyoung-ka visited our homeworld last year with the cultural exchange program. They spoke perfect Valoran, understood our traditions, but also brought fresh ideas and perspectives. They are proof that integration can create something better than either species alone." Elder Hanara, a younger Valoran woman with kind eyes, nodded in agreement. "The reports from other colonies are also encouraging. 17 integrated settlements have been established based on your model. Most are succeeding beyond expectations." "There have been problems too," Daehyun admitted honestly. 2 colonies failed completely due to cultural conflicts. 3 others needed major restructuring. "Integration is not easy, but you have shown it is possible," Elder Koran said. "That is more than anyone expected when this project began." That evening, the colony held a celebration to welcome the new families and honor the visiting elders. The central plaza filled with music, dancing, and the smells of cooking food from dozens of different traditions. Daehyun and Narika danced together under the twin moons, surrounded by their friends and neighbors. Humans and Valorans moved in patterns that mixed traditional dances from both cultures, creating something entirely new and beautiful. "Do you ever miss the simplicity of our old life?" Narika asked as they swayed to the music. "Just the 5 of us in those tiny quarters on the mining station?" "Sometimes," Daehyun admitted. "But look around us. All these families, all these children who will grow up thinking cooperation is normal. We did this. We built this together." Near the edge of the plaza, They spotted their children performing for a group of young visitors. Jiwanka was demonstrating a Valoran blessing ceremony, while Minhoka showed off a holographic art piece that told the story of their family's journey from the mining station to the colony. Soyunka sang a welcome song that brought tears to the eyes of several adult listeners. "They are not just our children anymore," Narika observed. "They belong to the whole colony, to both species. They are the future we were trying to build." As the celebration continued into the night, a new group of refugees arrived at the colony's landing pad. Their ship was small and damaged, much like the escape pod Daehyun had found 3 years ago. These refugees were different, though, a mix of humans fleeing economic disasters and Valoran families escaping political upheaval on their homeworld. Without hesitation, Daehyun and Narika left the party to greet the newcomers. Their own children followed, along with dozens of other colonists who had heard about the arrivals. The refugees looked tired, scared, and uncertain. They clutched their few possessions and stared at the mixed crowd of humans and Velorans with confusion and hope. "Welcome to Sarang 7, Daehyun said in both Galactic Standard and Korean, while Narika repeated the greeting in Valoran. "You are safe here. We will help you build new lives." Jiwonka stepped forward and addressed a frightened human boy who looked about his own age. "Do not worry," he said kindly. "I know it looks strange at first, but this is a good place. Humans and Velorans are friends here. We help each other." Minhoka was already showing a young Valoran girl his art tablet, using pictures to communicate when words were not enough. Soyunka had found a family with small children and was making them laugh with silly faces and gentle songs. As the refugees were led to temporary housing and given food and medical care, Daehyun felt the familiar warmth in his chest. The same feeling he had experienced when he first rescued Narika and her children. The feeling of doing something right, something important. Later that night, after the last refugee had been settled and the celebration had wound down, the family gathered on the balcony of their home overlooking the colony. The twin moons cast silver light over the peaceful settlement, and the sounds of different species living together in harmony drifted up from the streets below. "Appa," Jiwon-ka said thoughtfully, "do you think we have really changed the galaxy?" Daehyun considered the question seriously. "I think we have changed a small part of it, and maybe that small part will help change other parts. Change often starts with just one family making a choice to do what is right. Like when you chose to rescue us instead of following the rules," Minho-ka added. "Exactly like that." So Young-ka, now old enough to understand the bigger picture, asked the question that was in all their minds. "What happens next? Where do we go from here?" Narika smiled and pulled her daughter close. "We keep building. We keep showing the galaxy that differences make us stronger, not weaker. We keep proving that love is more powerful than fear." As they sat together under the alien stars, watching their colony sleep peacefully below, Daehyun reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them here. From a lonely mining engineer rescuing strangers in space, to the leader of humanity's most successful experiment in interspecies cooperation. But the greatest change was not in his title or his responsibilities. It was in the simple fact that he was no longer alone. He had found his family in the most unlikely way, and together they had built something that would outlast all of them. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new refugees, new opportunities to prove that the galaxy was big enough for everyone to live in peace. But tonight, as his